everyone. My name is Kirtika Sharma. My student ID is 22329042. This is a video presentation of my HD report, the task for preparing a report on any of the topics. So I chose my favorite topic that has a keen interest in that. It is SQL injection. Let's get started with this one. SQL injection. Firstly, I begin by giving a brief description of what firstly SQL is and then the SQL injection. Firstly, I'm gonna dictate by the presentation, then I'll show my report for which I created this presentation. So firstly, what SQL is? SQL, Structured Query Language, is a standardized programming language for managing and manipulating relational databases, allowing users to interact with databases, perform operations, and retrieve or modify data. It plays a crucial role in database management, providing a common language for working with databases efficiently and effectively. Now, what actually SQL injection is? Now you came to know what SQL is. Now let's begin with SQL injection. A cybersecurity hole known as SQL injection allows attackers to inject malicious SQL code by taking advantages of weaknesses in how an online application handles user input. They can alter the database in this way, get access without authorization, and possibly retrieve or modify important data. So it is very important to know about SQL injection and be aware of it. Okay, now move ahead. SQL injection as a cybersecurity flaw. So let's study about this one. Malicious attackers can take advantage of holes in input validation systems in web application to introduce SQL injection, a cybersecurity weakness, as I mentioned earlier. Now coming ahead, they can alter database queries, obtain unauthorized access, and potentially retrieve or edit data. This is all just I talk about. They can retrieve your data and they can misuse it. So you have to be very careful about your data and using SQL. So what would happen? Consequences of SQL injection. Now coming to what would be the effects of it. It can impact unauthorized access, data breaches, data manipulation or deletion, system outages, financial losses, reputation damage, compliance violation. Now, if unfortunately you are stuck by SQL injection, so what are the ways to prevent yourself? So you must be aware of it. So let's come to this point. First is input validation and sanitization, prepared statements and parameterized queries, least privilege principle, stored procedures, whitest input validation, web application firewalls. According to me, firewall is the best option you can go for to prevent yourself from SQL injection. You can search about this in my report in whole detail. Okay, so moving ahead. This slide was just telling about my research, how I worked on it. Of course, I used Google for it. Only the first option comes to our mind is the Google. So I searched a lot regarding this on the Google, so I got a lot of websites from that. So moreover, online resources like CrowdStrike, Imperva, and Simple and Earn offer insightful information about SQL injection attacks, defense strategies, and how crucial it is to comprehend this cybersecurity danger. The extensive knowledge on threat modeling and SQL injection on the OWASP website was also cited. Additionally, Google was, of course, used to look for relevant pictures and examples of SQL injection, improving the research visual component. The use of these various sources ensured a thorough and educational investigation of the issue. Okay, before ending my presentation, I would just like to give you an overview of my report. So, this is my report. So, SIT 103 Database Fundamentals, starting with the topic SQL injection and just my name and details. Now, just as I mentioned, I gave the introduction, what is SQL what is SQL. Then I added some pictures to it so that you come to know what in detail what is SQL. Like next is what is SQL injection. Then I added some pictures just for making it more interesting. Next coming to types of SQL injection. There's a flowchart for just a brief description of it. And then moving ahead with relationship between the SQL and database management. Coming ahead to the point, how to prevent it. I hope you can see this report. Then summary, conclusion, and some references to it. Yeah, that's all. And so yeah, sorry for the interruption of that. Now this is last, I would like to say that prevention is better than injection. Secure SQL to protect your data. So thank you so much, and be aware of the SQL injection. That's all. Thank you so much. Have a good time.